lovely listeners and watchers in PC land. Unless you're using a Mac, then hello.
Or a Chromebook.
Dragon Age, the next session was a mini session.
Yeah.
We did it at the beginning. I mean, today we were going to run Heresy. But I said, just as a sort of in-between adventures thing, just coming out of the Dalish Curse like we were and about to go into a band too many, let's just get this little 2-encounter thing done, just to wrap it out of the way. Because I didn't really want to start a band too many with that. It would sort of like detract from the experience of focus of this is what you're trying to go on to. It's like, we're doing this now, quick switching everything onto this.
Yeah, cinematic transition of no reason whatsoever.
So it's perfect. We tagged this 2-encounter Dragon Age thing onto the front of our Dark Heresy advertised day. This is a non-module thing. Our credits has to go to the post originator. Initially conceptualized the idea on the greenronin.com website. It's the user called Tarnished Armour, and he came up with this great plot hook that I, as he encourages to do, massively expanded on and winged and designed further on to fit what excites me as a GM. So it was nice, not bound by modules really or tests, and I'm really winging it. And they're saying, I want to try this, and trying to find the appropriate test for them, rather than you telling them the test you want. They tell you their intentions, and you have to think of a test on your feet quickly.
Yeah.
So, that's what a good Dragon Age GM should be having to do, really, if his party's testing him. It all started with your travels through the forest as you're trying to head to the next mission.
Yep.
And you've kind of dipped into the forest to explore a few things going on, because there's a bunch of people going missing, and you found that out from a note left by your contact. You fired an arrow on a note to the wall in your coaching inn and left that there for you.
Yes.
And there's a few...
I thought it was a sharp stick up the arse.
There's a few marching armies in the area as well, and they aren't necessarily friendly.
Yeah.
And you've got all the bandits and stuff a little bit further north going on. And the combination of all of this has made the roads as a sort of no-go zone. You were taking a sort of off-trail thing, because the roads are not ill-advised, basically. And by taking this off-trail thing, you're possibly taking the same route that these people have been going missing, caravans and other people. And they've left their belongings behind. That's always the case. Over time, this has been happening. And it's kind of been known in the area, going on for quite a while now. And they usually just... all the money's left behind and everything, possessions. It's just the people that are missing. So it can't be the bandits. You find a fruit growing from a tree.
Yep.
And Paydar spots it too. And the others start to come over. And Amelia picks it and takes a look at it. And it kind of looks long, like an oversized lemon, but longer.
Mm-hmm.
And yellow, but a light yellow. And its skin is edible immediately. It's more like a strawberry, and its seeds are on the outside, and its seeds are darker yellow. And it's got this beautiful, intoxicating smell, like a fine Orlesian perfume. And it makes you salivate at the thought of eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Amelia didn't eat it. Her intention was to just bag it, so she put it in her bag. Karak picked one as well. Paydar just watched. Now, for everyone in the vicinity that was able to smell it, they had a target 9, so a fairly easy test to not have an effect going, willpower, self-discipline. Amelia had touched it and hence brought it closer to her face, even though her hand is gloved. And as such, her one was a target 12, and she rolled an 11. And anyone, doing any other things, I'd wing it from there. Karak, turned his back to Amelia and took a look at the fruit, was holding it, and fired a little mini wand blast at it, and it just split apart. He was checking to make sure that it wasn't like some creature in there or something like that. And these fruit are all growing on this one tree. And none of you have ever seen this fruit before. Completely unique. So you couldn't really make sense of it. The discarded bits fly down. Oof goes over, and he instantly becomes consumed by the effects. And Oof and Amelia begin to walk immediately to the northeast. And their expressions are just blank, but Amelia looked like a little bit like there's a bit of strain and a bit of muscle twitch going on, like she's trying to fight the effects somehow. And the others are watching them just walking. They tried stopping you, didn't they? They tried jumping in the way, halting you, and you're just stepping around, and they're trying to trip you up, stepping over them and speeding up as need be to get around them. Your will to.
Well, they did trip me up at one point.
Yes, you got whacked with the quarterstaff, knocked down, and then the Avar Tanadil tried jumping on top of you.
Yeah.
But you saw it off with your constitution being what it was versus his strength.
Oh dear.
Managed to squeeze the hell out of there, pulled yourself up out of him, and sent him off you.
Ridiculous, really.
And carried on walking. And as you carried on walking, and they still couldn't stop you or Oof, all the trees to either side of you started sprouting this fruit in like super sped up mode.
Mm.
So you all then became subject to the smell effects of it even stronger. But no one else succumbed. And there was like a clearing up ahead. You ended up in the clearing with Oof, and the others got off the path and started moving through the trees towards the clearing another way. We were actually playing with Pete through a Google video link-up conference, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
He was there as a screen. This music started coming up, this gentle music as if out of nowhere. And Oof and Amelia begin like swaying and dancing and things. Well, Oof's kind of running around and playing, joyfully jumping and things like that. And this giant big tree starts like swaying to the music too. And they can see it's alive and the eyes open. Karak tries taking a shot at it with a big old stone fist attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it just bounces off it practically. It does an armor save. Completely negates the entirety of the damage. Just a tiny bit of bark damage and that's it. So that wasn't going to be enough, unfortunately. And you couldn't knock it down because it's set to the ground with its roots.
Yeah.
And they said, well, what are we going to do? They're stuck in some sort of spell or something. We're going to have to release them. They prepared a flaming shot at it.
Yes.
With the flint and steel and the procedure of all this. And, yeah, before they could fire it, the tree spoke to them and said, no! And it speaks very, very slow. I'll say now that this side quest is called A Simple Tree. It's an ancient, really. It's a spirit that's become trapped in this tree form. But it's not necessarily a malicious spirit, but it just doesn't know what it's doing. In this clearing, there's a lot of other dead bodies in different states of decay. And what's happened is the players rightfully actually guessed that they've danced themselves to death without food or water. He doesn't understand the needs of the living. He doesn't understand that you...
It's the spirit. They don't understand the needs of the
you
living
can't
in
keep
general.
going. So he actually is not malicious at all. He doesn't actually mean harm. He just doesn't understand, that's all. And it's only if attacked that he will become, deadly. They tried bargaining with him, let him go, and we'll try and organise with the village to, have people come and dance for you as a solstice event and this sort of thing. And he said, well, how can you guarantee they'll do it? And he said, well, we try. On the strength of that, because he rolled so well, he could have gone away and tried to do it. But he probably would have wanted to at least kept you two there, if not made you dance.
Yeah.
Just kept you. They wasn't really getting anywhere, but then he explained his name was That's O-O-M. And someone straight away made the joke. Oh, out of mana. That's no coincidence, friends. Because he started speaking that he had his energy robbed of him. That his form long ago was different and he does not know what it is. What it was. And now he is trapped in this form. There's a whole story behind this. He's a Sylvan, but not the usual malicious way. He's come about in a different way. Ending up as a Sylvan. Yeah. Trapped in this thing. More as kind of, like cursed into it.
Mm-hmm.
Trapped in that form. And he's forgotten what he's meant to be. And he just wants to be released. But he hasn't got the energy to get out of it.
Nope.
It is a cursed seal, effectively.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the chakra to break it. He doesn't have the orange, the fox one, to override because he's out of blue. Too much Naruto. So,
yeah.
As such, he wants to borrow the mana of any mage. And no mage has so far consented to do it. They have to willingly give themselves as well. Their mana, he can't just drain it. They have to open their magical channels up. Or he needs to catch them while they're casting a spell and then continue channeling that spell so that the channels are open and he can feed off of the good blue stuff. And, he said, no, I can't.
Feel my blue rage bar.
I can't give that up, Karak said. I can't give my power up, my energy. He's like, is this going to kill me? He looked to me, the GM, and said, is this going to kill me? I said, who knows?
I was jokingly making reference, he's going to turn you into a tree.
Could have happened. It wasn't a kind of potentially sour encounter. It was fun more than anything, wasn't it? It was set up to be funny because there's a joke in there. He's called
Mm-hmm.
And he's harmless enough. So I didn't really want anything too bad to come about.
Yeah, well, while the players might be able to joke on that, in-game characters wouldn't be able to get the reference.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's the beauty. You can use a joke and get away with it. They're unspoiled, aren't they?
Yeah.
They say, no, screw it. We're not risking it. Let our friends go now. And they were really making some great roleplay counterpoints to it. And I'm glad, actually, that Amelia was under the spell.
Yeah.
Because she would have ruined the... Because Amelia's stance, being a Templar in training, you are a demon, you must die.
Pretty
much. You are a talking tree!
Well, considering how things went after I got out...
And that would have ruined some great roleplay that we had.
Well, considering what happened straight after as well.
We'll get to that. Karak was great.
Yeah.
Craig was making some amazing points and really portraying humankind's viewpoint on this, saying, we aren't like you. We aren't solid forms like you. We don't want, if we die, then our dance of life ends.
Yeah. Of course they ended up just shooting him anyway.
They ended up shooting him because they didn't want to risk, hurting Karak by letting him have his energy, as it were. They fire this flaming arrow at him and he freaks out and Tanadal charges in and starts hacking away at him.
And Karak throws on a bottle of spirits to make the fire burn more.
He whacks Tanadal back for something crazy like 15 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's him being nice. Bear in mind, right, that this is a tier 2 adversary, okay? Against a level 2 group.
Yeah.
Okay, now I had dumbed him down. I'd dumbed down damage. It's supposed to be like 2d6 plus 9.
Yep.
And I dumbed it to something like 2d6 plus 4. So it's pretty good still. There's some other stuff that I reduced, but his defense was automatically already 10. And I suppose that takes into account the fact that he's so big.
Yeah. Huge creatures are usually easier to hit.
So we don't need modifiers for that, to start having to design modifiers for large target and stuff, because there isn't one for that anyway. And I thought, was that an oversight? And then I looked at the defense and realised, well, it's 10. Crikey, how can you not...
That's basic. That's 10. It's usually 10 plus dex or whatever anyway.
How can you not hit this tree? Yeah, he was defending himself, but he wasn't going full pelt.
No.
This thing's got strength 9. Hence the 2d6 plus 9. So I brought it down effectively to strength 4. Yeah. Because it's in mellow mode. It isn't full released yet.
Which means its to hit roll would only have been a plus 4.
Yeah, the to hit roll fully unnerved is plus 11.
It's got a focus or something as well, huh? Oh dear.
Well, it's got a focus. These things usually have a focus in their own attack.
Yeah. Which
is automatically added into...
Well, if its strength is 9, and then you just strength focuses strength whatever, so yeah.
And then they decided, okay, I'll tell you what, stop. Paydar shot an arrow into it and this sort of thing. Everybody stop. Karak said, I'll give you it, I'll consent.
Yeah.
I'll give you my energy. He said, just give me your word that you won't kill me. And he said, he said, no, I will not end your dance. And, well, if it was going to kill him, I suppose he might have made a mistake and accidentally killed him. That's always possible. And I was doing rolls here and checking to see his health loss. Luckily, Craig was getting very, very lucky. And his health loss was equating to things like 1s coming up on dice and then 1 again. And stuff like that. So he was all right, and then a 3. So, on 3 dice, he lost a total of 5 health, as an example.
Yeah.
On 3
but
dice,
as a mage, he has the lowest health to begin with.
Which he could have lost 18 health just for those rolls.
At top end, yeah.
You were losing tiny amounts at D3 damage, 1, 2, or 3 damage. Same with Oof. Just from fatigue starting to set in. Then I started having test your stamina anyway to not lose a bit of damage.
Yeah.
You could feel like you're going to start to be able to break out of it a bit anyway soon.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting to grips with it now. And as I say, it was great that you were locked down because you kind of you feel like you've got to enforce your character's RP.
Mm-hmm.
But even you will admit it was more interesting to see you not run in yet,
yeah.
wasn't it? to see what kind of conversation would break.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't have got to hear the viewpoint of this old unusual creature, would you?
No, I wouldn't have done.
The way it sees the world and sees us, and it was revealing. This thing wrapped its branches around his arms and gave him a pretty serious Chinese burn, and it started sucking the mana out of him, doing him this damage. And Amelia then eventually snaps out of it while this process is going on. She sees it.
Immediate reaction. I shall draw my sword and attack it.
Tanador stands in the way and says, no, look. He knows what he's doing, all right? He's sorting this out with this old tree. All right? He's just lending him his strength. And you're like, yeah, as a Templar in training, I cannot ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be taken care of. And they're desperately trying to stop him. And even Karak's doing willpower tests, just trying to sort of like show with his eyes, no, don't, and shake his head sort of thing. Don't do it. Because this thing's eventually taking control of his entire respiratory system and he can't speak or anything. And the energy exchange coming out of him is completely overriding his body. He can't get a spell off or anything.
Mm.
And this thing's eating his mana. The bit of combat that you did have with it at the beginning when it got combat-y, and it was good that it calmed down and agreed to the consenting of that, because it didn't really want to have to kill. It wants to actually be free. It's not malicious.
Yeah, well, Amelia's way of doing freedom would have probably just been to destroy it in the first place.
It wants entertainment, yeah, because it's bored. It's long-lived. It has to have entertainment. But if it can get free, that's better. So if he's agreeing to it, he'll give it another chance. And if it's a trick, then so be it. He's willing to take the chance if it's a trick or not. He was a bit slow and dim, as I say, and subject to possibly being tricked. So then Amelia took a swing at Tanador. So again, do you remember we spoke about this before? The group kind of has these fractures within it. We saw that with several situations in the past. The group has in-fought before. It's always bantering with itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened here. And Amelia actually, full swung with the sword. And, does damage on Tanador. But because we use the hit points strictly system, as in you have not taken any damage, you've expended fatigue, essentially, off your hit points towards finally the chance of getting hit. So it would have been worse if you'd have cut your teammate. And cut him open.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've swung and he's avoided it, you can still kind of keep that relations going as remaining in a party together. You aren't fully broken, but he attacks back, and you're sort of ducking and avoiding each other, and you have a good couple of rounds at each other.
Yeah,
getting into each other's hit points a bit. That was interesting to see you go, because it's been welling up actually between those two, hasn't it? Warrior and warrior.
Yeah,
two very different kinds of principle of warrior as well, and I think there is still something coming between them. Coming up, going to happen. Maybe like a big fisticuffs or something like that.
Maybe.
So then it dropped Karak's limp, lifeless form to the ground. He's got no mana left in him. And Amelia's like, you see, look what it's done. He's not dead. His eyes are open. He's blinking. Smoke's coming off of him. Steam. Amelia's like, yeah, that thing's for it. Charges straight in, hacking at it with her sword. At this point, its bark is all splitting apart and all this green energy is starting to pour out of it.
Yeah.
And it's powered up.
It probably wasn't the best idea to charge that thing head on.
No. Because what I'd then done at that point, it's in release mode. So what's happening is it's taken the
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a passive one. Its form is now freeing itself from the tree.
Yeah.
But you're attacking at that moment in time.
Yeah.
When it's fully powered up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you took a good hack at it and you pissed it off at that point.
Yeah.
And it hits you back while in that super powered up mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that means it's unnerved. So it's hitting you now for 2d6 plus 9.
And I could have continued, but Amelia's not that dumb.
Still plus 11 and 3d6 to hit you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were really up against the full tier 2 beast. On your own, I might add, because no one else wanted. Paydar was like, look, if you're so stupid that you'll attack that, then, best of luck to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting involved. Tanador's like, well, I didn't agree to it anyway. I tried stopping you. And Karak's lying on the floor. So Anuf is just about getting freed up from play.
Yeah.
So it's just you on your own. You would have had to have soloed that thing. Amelia saw her limits there. Knew that she was not going to be able to fight it. And it's releasing and releasing. The bark was expanding and the green glow from inside was splitting.
Yeah, this thing's going to blow up. Probably a bad idea to stay here.
Yeah, you
right
decided
now.
quick run, and the others followed suit, didn't they? And
Yeah.
sort of repositioned fairly quickly, and then it did blow up. All the bark flew off into different directions, and then it's all starting to all float back down. All the wispy pieces of wood and leaves and things like that, and all the green glow as it fired up, it went off in different directions, like this way and that, and you heard this kind of like painful scream sound that was almost deafening, this roar.
Yep.
And it went up, and then it turned into like a sigh sound, like a peace and contentment. And then that sighing sound gave way to the sound of like the breeze of the wind.
Anyway.
And Tanadil farted. Yes, which was a little bit more of the wind. And then it was at peace.
Amelia would have preferred to put it in pieces, though.
So you all get up, brush yourselves off, and all these bits of tree are all floating down. The bits that are aren't so heavy that they've already fallen.
Yeah.
The wispy pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all floating down around you. And you look down the way of the path, and all those fruit are all drying up and shrivelling and falling off the trees all at once, simultaneously. So the curse was lifted, the spirit was freed. Amelia's probably not happy about that.
No.
It's freed unto the world.
Yeah.
Or did it go back into the fate?
We don't know, do we? That's just it.
You don't know, and sometimes you're not meant to know these things, are you? If you knew everything, it would be unrealistic.
There's no point being omnipotent.
Exactly. You're just a person living in the world. You're not a god. But I choose what to know. So if I can look into the world and let the world tell me what it's doing, right? So there's a kind of omnipotence there, and I can extract that if I really want to.
Yeah.
But there's some things I choose not to. Really, it was a nice story, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was a nice little rounded experience, and it gave you another flavour to Dragon Age. That was the player's choices. How do they handle it? And
yeah.
they chose to empathise with it and help it, but they could have chose to kill it and annihilate it and damn it and turn it into a damned spirit.
Yep.
They would have killed it and probably released its form, but it would have been sent howling as an insane spirit, probably around the world or into the Fade. So it's now a peaceful spirit. That's a simple tree. Quest complete. I mean, it wasn't a terribly dangerous fight for the group, but there was some really good roleplay, some solid ideas put, and people were really continuing to the dedicated capacity of their characters' play styles and thought processes, and they really kept true to that. So
if I'd been playing anything other than Amelia, maybe I wouldn't have been instantaneous. I'm going to kill it.
You were really in a chance of potentially dying quite easily against this thing.
Yeah.
If it all went wrong. So I ended up giving the group 200 for the first encounter, the discovery of the fruit, nothing. And then the second encounter, 200, because it was all just so very varied and entertaining. And I hope you enjoyed us on our little recounting of that tale.
This little excursion from the plot.
Exactly. It's good to get out of the module from time to time, isn't it? And just run something else.
Yeah.
Thanks again to the original poster who put up the idea as well for him, the loose framework, and it was some really the most helpful thing that he wrote there was the fact that it's not malicious.
Yeah.
And that gave me everything I needed, really, to...
It's true, not every spirit in the Fade is a demon.
And you can really challenge your players, and we have a mature enough bunch to recognise that not necessarily just to jump in and kill it.
I mean, afterwards, though, Amelia's got a pretty big reason to be keeping an eye on Karak now.
Yeah, it's the first kind of hit of larger suspicion on always Karak an apostate. She hasn't
that thing was draining him. Why would it drain him specifically?
But you don't quite know that it was draining his mana.
Like I said, why would it drain him specifically?
Yeah, it could have been draining, as Karak argued back, it's my soul.
Yeah, she still don't like the sound of that.
I'll see you at the next video. Till next time, guys. See you at the table.
Dragon the Lagon.
Dragon Age.
It is if you're playing the computer game with all the loading screens.
Yeah.
And the time it takes for them to actually drop loot after about an hour's worth of play. You're standing there for about 5 minutes waiting for their body to actually die.
Yeah, that's not fun.